there's still so many states that don't have access, still have that really bad stigma, and a lot of times have really bad legal repercussions.
Hi babes, Lady Silverstone here, and welcome to my podcast, where we're trying to demystify cannabis, one conversation at a time. In this episode, we're talking about how to break the stigma with visuals online, how to keep the creative spark as an artist, and how to own your future with our guest today. She's a young, inspiring graphic designer who has worked with cannabis brands in the US and legendary magazines like High Times. Let's welcome Savina. I hope you enjoy it. Hi, babe. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you doing? What time is it there?
It's 6 o'clock in the evening.
Oh, okay. So you're getting to an end. Had a great day.
Yes, exactly. Just had my first, a little bit heavier, cannabis strain, Just getting in the mood, for the evening.
Yeah, wind down.
Yeah. And for you, it's just completely different. Just woke up. Probably need your coffee and CBD or something.
Yeah, I need my wake and bake.
Yeah, exactly. Well, first off, I would like to welcome you and thank you so much for getting up so early and join me on my podcast. It's really, really nice.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun when you reached out. And like I said, I loved all the stuff that you had previously. So it's just cool to connect.
It really is. I'm just thinking every day that okay, so of course, there is a lot of downsides to social media and Instagram and all of this, but the upsides and what we can actually get out of it is amazing. I mean, just being able to sit here and connect through Zoom and talk to each other, and even on Instagram, just to see that there are other people doing the same struggle, but from the other side of the world, which is so fun, super nice.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I was going to ask how the laws were over there.
So I'm from Sweden originally, but I live in Spain.
Okay.
Which is great. Yeah, so you already know a bit that Spain is pretty liberal when it comes to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really nice.
Yeah, I've always heard of Cannabis, right?
Yes. I was about to go this year, but it was cancelled because it was, It was the day before, it was about to be the day before the Spanish government said no, everything's cancelled, so. Yeah, unfortunately.
So close.
I know, so close yet so damn far. But so that, I really hope, I don't think they're going to be able to have, they're talking about maybe having it in I don't know, September this year, but September seems very soon for a big event. Do you see what I mean? So I don't know how that's gonna be, but I can't wait for the next Cannabis though, because I was so excited, I'm gonna get to my first cannabis event,
Yeah.
So well, next time. Do you have friends that have been there? How do you know about, I mean, I know some people know about it, but not everyone from the US knows about Cannabis of all things.
No, I'm so into the culture and the industry. Once we were legalizing in some states in the United States, I just wanted to know how it was treated worldwide. So I would just do research and see what countries had already decriminalized it or, seen it. I know Portugal is a really big country that a lot of people point to because of their anti-criminalization. And so when I saw Cannabis, I was like, oh, this is the future. This is where we can get to.
Yes, totally. And I don't know, there must be some similar events in Holland. It's just that I don't know about them. And I mean, Cannabis is definitely the biggest one, in Europe, if I understand it right. But
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So that's exciting. Have you been to Europe?
I haven't. No, I've only been around North America.
Oh, well, then you have, you will really enjoy Europe. I mean, I'm just thinking for your art, especially, I think Europe is it's super artsy in a way, if you see what I mean. The old houses in all the old towns of every city, they're so, you can really see how old they are with so much history and with so many beautiful, the architecture is just amazing, so from an artistic point of view, it's just jaw-dropping. It really is.
Yes, I definitely have a few hot spots I want to go to. Like definitely one of them is Berlin, especially with all the art and things that they have and their culture and their respect for like hip hop culture. It's just so cool.
So nice. Where else would you want to go?
Oh man. Of course, I'd love to visit Sweden. I mean, of everything that you hear, you know, and just how it sounds very peaceful out there.
It is. It is. It can be, and it can't be also, obviously. I mean, it's just, I think that Sweden has like this tiny like revolution at the moment. Like they're trying to like, they don't know, maybe they haven't gone through this thing where you like question the government and their system and their way of living, you know, because everything, like you say, has been so peaceful, so good. Everything has been working so well, and yeah, everything has been like a dance on roses, you know. But now people start to realize that, like, hey, wait, we're putting like addicts in the prison. What the fuck is that all about, you know? And what is this all about? And why do you say this, but actually like all the other scientists says something else? Like, so I think like that is starting a lot, which is amazing, because for me, a lot of people wonder like, yeah, so because I moved from Sweden when I was 20, which is 10 years ago, and I lived in Paris first for 6 years, and then in Bali in Indonesia for 3 years, and now 1 year in Spain. And people always say like, oh, but isn't it like too big of a culture clash to live in other countries? And I'm like, no, for me, like the big culture clash is Sweden, you know? Because for me, I'm very like, I love to like dissect thoughts and ideas and stuff like that. And that is really not Swedish, you know? So, yeah. Well, I still love Sweden. It's such a beautiful country, but it's just, for me, living there, it's dark, cold, and it's kind of like box thinking sometimes. But, you know, there are many places like that in the world that are still amazing to be in, you know? So where do you live?
I'm in Portland, Oregon. It's on the West Coast.
All right. Have you lived there your whole life?
No, I've traveled up and down the West Coast, California, Seattle, Washington, just all around. But I've been here for probably like 4 years.
So how come you've been traveling so much? Like, has it been for work or more for...
No, I think we're kind of the same in that way. That, you know, sometimes you just want to get a new thought processes, new ways of thinking. And if you stay in your little town, you know, that's kind of all you'll get. Yeah. Unless someone comes through, you know.
Exactly. So true.
So after high school, you know, I said bye to my family. And ever since then, I've just been kind of boop, 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 popping around.
So how far do you live now from your family then?
I've actually gone closer since. So they're in the next state above us. So maybe 5 hours.
So wait, that's the whole thing with the US. Like I don't even realize those distances. I'm like, wait, we actually live quite close now, just 5 hours. I'm like, oh my God, that's so far. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for you, it's, I mean, I understand. You just have this huge landmass, and for you, that is close, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is crazy, yeah. Okay, so one thing, do you say Savina, right?
Yeah, Savina.
Savina. When I heard it, I'm like, this is gorgeous. It's like an artist name. Right?
There you go.
Does it mean something?
Yeah, it's supposed to be from Italy, actually. There was a little island called the Sabine Island, Sabine.
Okay.
And the women on that island were known for being like peacemakers and keeping everything cool.
Nice. I like that.
So a good namesake.
Yeah, your parents was like, okay, so we need to make sure that, you know, she's brought up well, you know, so she can bring that as well. So tell us a little bit about you, the long story. Don't make it short.
Okay, very fun. Well, yeah, right after high school is when I packed up. I held a little garage sale for whatever I had in my room to just make enough money to go down to California. And I tried to go to college. That didn't really work out. And I dropped out.
What did you try there? Like, what did you try to study?
Funny enough, I went for accounting. and like more finance. I really thought that despite me being a creative individual, that I could still have this, what I would consider a solid job that would get me, you know, the paycheck that I wanted and whatever. But it was just soul sucking. I couldn't do it.
I can only imagine. Wow. So you dropped off after just a few months, or?
About a year. Yeah. But at least, you know, I got a little bit enough to help me, you know, my business side of things, you know, as the future progressed. So it really was kind of a helpful trade. But after that, then I didn't want to go to school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I just worked odd jobs, fast food, janitorial, just like anything, you know, to get a paycheck. And then finally I got a break when someone offered me a receptionist position. And so I was doing office work for some time, but it was the slowest office in the world, I swear. I swear, like there would probably only be a few calls a day, and I would just be sitting for 8 hours at a desk doing nothing, and I hated it. So what I did, which is not really the best thing to do, but during my employer's time when I was at work, I would go online and find basic graphic design courses and learn color theory and how typography works. And I would just teach myself the basics so that hopefully I can use whatever creative energy I had inside of me to funnel through that and hopefully make money off it or a living. I really dreamt of having something where I could work from home and build a family and like keep that life, you know, without having to go back into work and maternity leave, you know. I really was trying to build my future in all of this.
Independently from anyone else.
Exactly. So then after a while, my employer found out, wasn't happy. I got fired.
No way, you got fired for that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But I mean, in the end, I mean, look at you now. So
yeah,
it was probably for the best.
Yeah, that, you know, coupled with my lovely husband who was pushing me like, Savina, you can't go back to another job. You need to get something that you could do for you. And so with his support, you know, I really felt strong to jump in and take the freelance plunge.
Was that scary? Like, did you feel like, oof?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I've been doing it for 3 years now. And this is the first year where I totally felt okay with the fluctuations of income and getting used to just how freelance life is.
It is really hard to adjust to, actually. But I'm so happy you managed. I mean, yeah. Because I know how it is. It's not easy, but it's worth everything. Oh, hello.
My little pup. But ever since then, like I was saying, the first couple of years was really hard. I wouldn't make a lot of money. I would try to throw everything at the wall and just sell merch and my work and do commissioned art pieces, just whatever I could to make money. But now, you know, I'm getting organized. I'm understanding what works, what doesn't. So it's really comfortable being in this position because now you have time to do more passion projects or, you know, especially during this time in the United States and even in the world with COVID, you know, I'm happy that I have kind of this time to let my voice out and express myself and, you know, hopefully educate other people.
Sorry for interrupting. I hope you enjoy listening so far. Please check out my account Lady Silverstone at patreon.com so I can continue creating cannabis content for you. Your posts are really, really good for that. Like when I found you and I was reading some of your posts, I'm like, oh my God, this is so, not only is it so visually beautiful, you know, like the message is extremely powerful. And those two things together is just like, that's how I think most of us, but I want to live. Do you see what I mean? Like getting that, well, because visuals, I mean, they make us feel a lot, right? And then getting this, you know, like super powerful, like perspective from someone else about a subject that we both know about, for example, you know, that is just, it's amazing. So you do it really, really well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's always good to hear.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have a pretty impressive client list. So first, tell my listeners, what are you doing?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of working with High Times. I even had a chance to work with the Dutch team of Glamour magazine.
Okay, nice.
And then over on the state side, just a few local in-state and out-state companies. And now, yeah, I'm still working. I'm working more on like nonprofit, more political stuff right now, gearing up for the coming election in November. But other than that, yeah, I'm still like in the cannabis sphere and still, working with other companies. Right now, it kind of just feels like a standstill because of everything that's going on. It seems like the whole dialogue kind of shifted. But yes, I imagine that there's still be plenty more coming.
Oh, yeah, surely. So how is the situation now in the US? Like you said, both with COVID, but also with the protests.
It's day to day, it changes. So here in our town, they've enacted a curfew that every night they'll decide whether or not they'll renew it. So it's been going on all weekend. We'll see if it happens today on Monday, because there's so many people going out and destroying property. And we're finding out right now from arrest records and stuff that it's not even Black and brown people that are affected by this. It's usually just like white anarchists or people, taking advantage of the chaos that go out and just let their frustrations out. So, it's always kind of hard to figure all this out. And it's kind of like, it feels like a battlefield where a point, like you just got to let the smoke settle and then we can go back in and continue the fight for change, and hopefully progress something out of all of this. I mean, we're in a city, but we're a little bit outside of like downtown. But definitely, if you go through downtown, you'll see, all of the evidence and the remnants. And as you go out, it kind of lessens down. But we still, we'll walk around, we'll see new little graffiti patches or something, or words of wisdom somewhere, and you're just like, oh, there's another one.
It's amazing though how we can like move together with such, force, and especially just again worldwide, and really go together when something like this happen. It's just enough is enough, and it has been enough for such long time already. So right. I can imagine it feels like this, but a frustration of not, like, it's never gonna stop. It's the same like within the cannabis industry, right? Like there will always be this stigma, these laws, these people that get discriminated, and yeah, in I guess in the state, what I've heard in the state, I think maybe you will confirm or not, that it's mostly people of color that get caught for weed, for example.
Yeah, I think like I was just sharing some statistics in the state above us. It's, even though it's legal, it's still 5 times likely if you're Black that you'll get arrested for possession, even though it's legal.
Now, how is that possible? Also, can you try to explain to me? Because for me, I'm like, what is that?
Yeah. So the way that we're kind of like in this gray zone with legalization. So our federal government doesn't want to acknowledge that it's safe, that it's not as bad as heroin and methamphetamines. So state by state, we have to legalize. And legalizing just means that they make it available to buy and sell on a regulated market. That doesn't mean if I grow my own at home and I give it to my neighbor, or if I have a party and I want to, give some joints out, I'm not protected.
Okay. But you are protected for your own use if you grow.
If for your own use, yes. And like if I buy something from a dispensary, it has to stay technically in that package the whole time. Or if I have like a joint in a tube and I take the joint out and go out and a cop finds me, if I don't have that tube, they're going to say that I got it from the black market or I got it illegally. And then now I'm screwed.
Shit, that's crazy. So basically if you then, so how about if you grow your own, you have that weed out on the street and you obviously don't have a packaging for it because it's your homegrown. How is it then?
And that would still be illegal. So we have we want basically a farmer's market for cannabis where you could do like a free trade farmer to farmer, but technically our law doesn't allow us to do something like that.
Oh, okay.
It has to be regulated. It has to be state approved. It has to go through their funnel system.
Okay, so like maybe in a few years I hope it's way sooner than that, but when it gets legal like on a federal level, would that be something that the cannabis community will push for, to be able to have these kind of farmers markets? Is that like a big thing?
I think a lot of times it is here because we're so worried about bigger corporations still swooping in and taking our product, our hard work. Especially here in Oregon, we're known very well for our cannabis. We have a lot of people coming from out of state, from places that are illegal to buy, sell, start anything. And so now they're coming into our market, starting something and taking away from our growers, our people in our state. So, it's kind of tough. At least if we had a smaller ring where we could have like the peer-to-peer share, then we can kind of fight back. But until that's allowed, then we just got to do it the old way.
It's the same way with alcohol, right? We cannot really, or I don't know, maybe, with wine, right?
Actually, no, because our little hipsters here, they make their own beer and wine, and they're able to sell that like farmers markets and small batches. So even though our cannabis is controlled by the Oregon Liquor Commission, there's still not fair laws across,
Yet. I mean, again, I think, isn't it the federal level, like, isn't that the issue at the moment?
Yeah, that right now we have a classification of different drugs, and right now our government classifies cannabis to be the same or as dangerous as heroin and methamphetamines, which is so ridiculous.
It's really crazy, and it's so destructive. Also, not only for the people using it, but also just for our brains. Like, do you really just take us for that stupid? And apparently they do, because most of us just blindly, like, oh, okay, so cannabis is as bad as heroin and fentanyl is even legal, So, not for recreational purposes, obviously,
right.
but medical.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, but I think with a lot of, even from state to state, I mean, I'm sure we're notorious for not being united, even though we are the United States.
Yeah.
But there's even within our country, some state leaders messing up languages and, confusing. They're saying that hemp is one thing and marijuana is another thing and cannabis is another thing. And there's just so much miseducation going out all over. And so I think that's honestly the dangerous part of it,
Do you have anyone in politics that are like very serious on this matter when it comes to like the importance of science education within cannabis?
We do. There are a few Senate leaders. I think like the Senate of California, they've been pushing really hard for federal declassification of it. But God, yeah, I don't know if it's just like lack of education for other congressional leaders or feigning ignorance, I don't know what it is, but it's like, come on, you can't keep this up. Like,
no, exactly. And also, I mean, I'm always thinking like, so for example, in Sweden, our social minister, she said lately, this was just a few weeks ago, she said, okay, so we need to review our drug policies in Sweden because they have gotten a lot of criticism from WHO and the UN because we heavily criminalize the addicts or anyone caught with anything. You can lose everything you have, from driver's license to your kids to work, even though so it's very rough. And what she said is that, but I will say no to a review of the decriminalization because I don't want to send that message to the young people in our country. And for me, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, Aren't we supposed to
Yeah.
be like scientific based? Aren't we supposed to be rational? Aren't we supposed to be honest and like trying to like see this matter from more perspectives than just one? Like, okay, you don't want to send a message. You don't have to send that message by decriminalizing or even legalizing something. You are still in charge of your own message that you send to the kids afterwards. I mean, I think it's just such a... Yeah, but then she's the one that is in charge of this, which is really unfortunate for Sweden. But I can imagine in some states you have the same kind of person, right?
Yeah. It is just that frustration. It's just like, come on, you do whatever research you need to do. And if you need to filter it for, the public hearing, but yeah, they shouldn't shy away from it just because they're afraid of backlash or,
Yeah. Because in any case, there's always going to be backlash. Like, can't at least one politician or someone with authority how refreshing wouldn't it be for someone in that position to say, hey, we've been wrong for so many years, and maybe bring up those let's say reasons why it have been this way. It's a lot of, I mean, for me it's a lot of both racism but also to dehumanize people in general, whether you're black or white. That is the whole grip that they have over us, Just come out and say and be honest with the fact that this is what has happened. That would be so refreshing, and damn the respect that person would get. Seriously. So I hope that we're gonna hear that one day, very soon. Yeah, I know. Hopefully. I mean, someone... you have to kind of, I like to think of a diamond, with so much pressure and so much stress and chaos, there's going to be a diamond that comes out of this. Something's going to rise and, just shine and show us all how it's meant to be done. What a beautiful, what do you call it? Metaphor? Yeah, very beautiful. I can totally see it. That's a little idea for your next art piece.
There you go. Yeah, I'll do a little diamond underneath all the crud.
Oh, I can totally see it.
All right. Well, thank you. We brainstormed.
Yes. Dear listeners, if you like what you hear, please check out my Patreon. The link is in the description here below. Only if you're able to, of course. Now, let's get back to our guest. So you do many things. Would you call it like that you have an agency?
No, I don't want that much. I'm a graphic designer. So I have a couple of branding projects that I'm working on right now. I have a publication that I'll be helping lay out in a little bit. I like to work on packaging. And of course my collages, just every single day I have to do one. So
So do you do one every day? How do you manage also, sorry, now I'm asking two questions at the same time. How do you manage to like keeping your, let's say, artistic spark? If you like for your personal art while doing all the others, because that can be tricky sometimes. And because I mean, work in general can wear you out in a bit if you have too much in the same time, which can make you feel like, oh my God, I just want to lie down and smoke.
Well, there definitely are days like that, and if there are, I used to kind of stress myself and say, well, you got to post on social media or something, but I don't stress myself over that stuff anymore. If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right. I won't force it.
No,
I'll just take the day. But yeah, it is really hard to work on so much and then still feel the energy to work on things yourself. I think what helps me is that a lot of my client projects, even though they may be in the cannabis sphere, it may not be exactly on what I'm feeling that second or what's in my head. A lot of my inspiration just comes from, my feelings or dreams or random thoughts, So it definitely depends on the day and my environment and how I'm feeling. It's just always changing.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. And you have a lot of, not only is like the cannabis plant in itself a super exciting plant in so many ways, both like physically, but also on a like philosophical level, to be honest, you know, it really is. So like, yeah, and you have all these, you know, like whatever happens in the world, you can really find your way of expressing that through this like amazing art, you know?
Thank you.
How was your initial relationship to cannabis?
Well, I am one of the lucky few that, well, I guess you call it lucky, but my mom was kind of like a hippie, you know, and cannabis has been in my family even before I was born.
Okay, wow.
So it's just something that is normal, you know, growing up, you'd think they're incense or something that you smell. Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh, as you grow up, you're like, oh, that's that smell. And even though I was growing up like that, my mom still was raised in the 60s and 70s when, you know, like the crack epidemic was really big and Ronald Reagan was, you know, telling everyone just say no to drugs. So my mom still really raised me to make sure that I knew marijuana would make me lazy and, you know, not very productive. And you know, in hindsight, she's just being safe, you know,
of
just
course.
being a mom.
Yeah.
But I remember growing up one way, but hearing her and our local school drug policy people come in, tell me these things, they felt contradictory even to me as a kid.
Okay.
So in high school, I remember I made it a very solid point to smoke as much as I could and still graduate with a 4.0.
Oh, and you did.
Or a high GPA, yeah.
Well done.
And I was able to.
Yeah. That's the thing. You are. Anyone is, you know?
Yeah.
I think that if you like the couch a lot, you will like it with or without cannabis. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
if you're kind of a relaxing, you know, take it easy, that's just how you're going to be no matter what.
Yeah, so how then, like, did you start with this? Like, was it already, like, so from then it was this long-term interest already? Or did you find it, like, so visually beautiful that you're like, okay, this is what I want to work with?
What really reignited it was back in 2014 when Oregon legalized for the first time. And it was available, it was exciting. But even though it was illegal, there was still a lot of stigma. There's still a lot of undecisiveness on even legal market. You know, you would still go to the dispensary, it'd feel kind of weird. And people might look at you funny when you walk in and out.
Oh, it was like that?
Yeah, it was still like that for a little bit. And so that's when I really translated cannabis into my artwork. And I would put more of it out there because I wanted to like demystify cannabis for people that haven't been around it, for people that are getting introduced to it. I just want to say, hey, it's a plant. You know, that's when I started to really incorporate flowers into it. So it feel like a bouquet of just whatever's in your garden, you know? So from there, I was just trying to play off different things. And I heard so many different positive reviews and about like, oh, I was able to show this piece to my aunt and start a conversation. And so that was really exciting for me as well. And I realized in this, you know, I really have something, I can continue this, I can help other people who aren't in legalized states. Because often we're in our little bubble of legalization and we forget that there's still so many states that don't have access, still have that really bad stigma, and a lot of times have really bad legal repercussions where like if a parent is found smoking, they can get their children, you know, taken away, and really intense situations like that. So people needed a safe place or an account they can follow, or, you know, just something where they could, you know, still give that message out without the fear of persecution or, you know, anything coming back.
So is there a lot of states still now, or is there are many states obviously that doesn't have it legalized, but is there any states that don't have even medical, or does all states have access to medical marijuana or not?
There's still a few states that don't have medical, don't even have CBD.
Which are those states? Like, what's the general mentality over there? I mean, you who knows maybe a bit more.
I know one, a lot of them, if you look geographically, they're like Midwest, where traditionally maybe more conservative people stayed, or down what we call the Bible Belt, which is like our super duper conservative group of people.
I was thinking it must have been like those kind of places. Okay.
Yeah. And places like that, it is really tough. I was just talking to someone in Texas that's considered more of a conservative state. And their CBD is legal, but THC isn't. So it's kind of funny that they make a difference within the plant itself. And a lot of people will advertise that their CBD has 0% THC. And like, that's the catch for a lot of people. And, you know, other people are like, what the hell?
That's how it is here, babe.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It
makes no sense.
Like, what? Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's really sad. Like, do you personally know anyone living there that are like using it kind of like, without no one knowing?
DL,
yeah, exactly.
Yes, one of my current clients, they're telling me that they are one of the people in Texas pushing to up that limit or to allow THC. They're actually one of the only shops that will advertise how much THC they have. Because they'll say, yeah, you know, we all have CBD, but this is how much THC we have.
Oh, like 0.2 or whatever. Oh, okay. Yeah, like
something so tiny, but you know, they're still just trying to push that it's the molecules together, you know, the companion effect or the entourage effect. Yeah, that is what's doing the healing, not just CBD, not just, you know, the isolate.
No. Good. It must be, I can only imagine the work that is being done like every day, and it's in such different states as well. Like I'm talking about states of let's say majority in the towards full legalization. But I mean, now I didn't really know that it was some places that was completely, you know, shut off from both CBD and THC. That feels like very far then, like for federal legalization. If there are a few states that are completely off, I don't know. I just hope it goes way faster, because there are people there as well that will feel so good having this. Yeah, it's very sad.
But it's funny, all of our data shows it. And just like you were joking, you know, it would take years, but unfortunately it might be the truth. Yeah. But like in Oregon, our next door neighbor, Idaho, is an illegal state where you can't have cannabis. But funny enough, the highest sales in Oregon were right on that border town.
Oh, I can imagine. Imagine. Of course.
We see that people are supporting, you know, we see that people want it. It's just now it's a legislative game.
How does it work? Let's say that, okay, so if I don't know even who makes these kind of laws, right? How to get it on the federal level? Like, do you really need all the states to say yes? Or can you get like just a majority and then it will become like federally legalized?
I'm not totally sure. I think it's more of a majority kind of thing. I think it has to be like 2/3 of the state has to be legal. Before they even want to like talk about it.
So is it now half or is it more than half?
I know it's at least half that are THC and CBD legal. So we're getting there.
Yes. Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely, yes.
Okay, so just like a last kind of question before I'm gonna go and make myself some dinner. How did you discover cannabis for the first time? I know it was like the first breath you took when you were a baby, but like yourself, by yourself maybe, or like the first inhalation or edible or.
My first inhalation was 16, and it was a classic friends in my beat up old car. Smoking a bowl behind the school, and I remember I was so stoned. It was maybe 10 p.m. I was freaked out that there was like somebody gonna just pop out anytime. Like I was so paranoid and giggly, and I just remember like just feeling on top of the world. It's just, you know, that feeling of invincibility and euphoria and excitement. And I knew. I said, okay, either I'm gonna get lost in this and my life is gonna end the way, you know, that the supposed drugs people say, or, you know, this is all baloney, and I just found out myself.
Yeah. Exactly. So what is it now? 10 years later, if you're 26?
Yeah.
Oh, 10-year anniversary. Well, congratulations.
Oh, hey. I should smoke a big one to that.
Yes. The whole year to celebrate some extra.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Okay, so like at that time, that is really typical, like the States. It feels like I never really met a European person that like smoked in the car like that. But you have those distances, so for you it's really like you just displace yourself from one. I mean, the car is like your mini home in a way, you know, because you spend a lot of time
as a teenager.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's where you maybe have your first kiss, your first joint, you know. Yeah.
Yep.
So a lot of things happen in those cars. Oh, so cute. So cute and innocent, you know?
Yes.
It really is. Anyway, babe, I hope that you can come back on the podcast. It would be really nice to like, have a more like focused chat. Now it was like getting to know you and stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe have like a focused chat on like a specific theme one day or something like that. It would be really nice.
Yeah, that sounds good. I had such a fun time. This was a great way to start my morning. So I very much appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Thank you.
Yes, it's so good to meet you. Have a good one. Stay safe.
Yes, you too, babe. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to my social channels and rate this podcast. And if you would like to support me a little bit extra, it would really mean the world to me. So check out my Patreon profile that I linked in the episode description. It's all thanks to your support that I can continue talking, writing, recording, and making more cannabis content for you and our amazing community. Have an awesome day and lots of love.